The day everything changed. August 15th, 1945, Seoul. The announcement had come at noon, crackling through radio speakers across the city in the emperor's thin, reedy voice. Japan had surrendered. The war was over. And with those words, 19-year-old Takahashi Sumiko's carefully ordered world began to collapse. But even as chaos erupted in the streets and her parents frantically prepared for their escape to Japan, Sumiko's thoughts kept drifting to one person, Lee Jaehyuk, her Korean language teacher at the YMCA. The man who had, without knowing it, completely captured her heart 3 months ago on a rainy Tuesday evening. She had always been different from other Japanese girls her age. While they focused on flower arranging and proper deportment, Sumiko was drawn to the bustling markets where Korean and Japanese voices mixed. Fascinated by the festival celebrations she glimpsed through neighborhood gates. Eager to understand the jokes that made Baksanajama and her Korean friends laugh so heartily. Her curiosity about Joseon culture had started early and only grown stronger with time. When the Japanese administration had established Korean language classes at the YMCA, ostensibly to help colonial officials communicate more effectively with the local population, Sumiko had been among the first to enroll. Not because her father expected it, he didn't, but because she genuinely wanted to bridge the gap between herself and her Korean friends. The classes had been formal at first, with Lee Jaehyuk maintaining the proper distance between teacher and students. He was 23, serious, with intelligent eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, and a way of explaining language that made even the most complex grammar seem like poetry. Sumiko had found herself staying after class to ask questions, arriving early to review her notes, and gradually, though she tried to hide it, falling utterly in love. But it was that rainy evening in May that changed everything. She had been walking home from class, her Korean textbook clutched against her chest, when the sudden downpour forced her to take shelter under the eaves of a traditional Hanok house. She was trying to protect her notes from the rain when she realized someone else was sharing her shelter. Sumiko-san, came a familiar voice. She looked up to find Lee Jaehyuk standing just a few feet away, his own books tucked safely under his jacket. In the soft gray light of the rainy evening, he looked different somehow. Younger, less formal than he did in the classroom. "Sien Sengnam," she said, attempting the Korean honorific, but her nervousness made her pronunciation shaky. He smiled at her effort and replied in Korean, asking about her progress with the latest lessons. But when she struggled to respond, stumbling over the words and blushing furiously at her inadequacy, something in his expression softened. "Let's try this in Japanese," he said, switching languages with perfect fluency. Sometimes it's easier to have real conversations in the language we're most comfortable with. They talked as the rain fell around them, about language, about culture, about the small details of daily life that she found so fascinating about Joseon. He asked her why she had enrolled in Korean classes, and when she explained her genuine curiosity about his culture, his face lit up with surprise and something that might have been delight. "You know," he said, studying her face in the dim light, "you're different from the others." "Different how?" she asked, her heart suddenly racing. "Most of the Japanese students come to my classes because it's practical. They need Korean for their work, or their parents think it will be useful. But you—" He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. "You listen with your whole heart. When I explain about Jong or Han, I can see you trying to truly understand, not just memorize. It's refreshing. I want to understand," she said quietly. "I want to really know this place, these people, not just live alongside them, but truly understand them." "That's a rare quality," he said, and his voice was warm with something that made her stomach flutter. "I hope we can be good friends, Sumiko-san. I think there's a lot we could learn from each other." Friends. He wanted to be friends. Sumiko had walked home in the rain that night feeling as if she were floating. The word friends echoed in her mind, but it was the way he had said it, The warmth in his voice, the genuine smile, the way he had looked at her, as if she were someone truly worth knowing, that sent her imagination spinning. From that night forward, she began arriving at the YMCA a full hour before class started, telling herself she needed the extra study time, but really hoping to catch glimpses of him preparing his lessons. She would sit in the empty classroom, pretending to review her notes while actually composing imaginary conversations they might have, picturing walks they might take through Seoul's ancient palaces, envisioning the way he might look at her if she became truly fluent in Korean. In her more fanciful moments, usually late at night when she should have been sleeping, she imagined what it would be like if they could be more than teacher and student, more than friends. She pictured herself in traditional Korean dress, serving tea to his family, speaking perfect Korean as if she had been born to it. She imagined children who would be beautiful combinations of both their worlds, growing up in a Korea that was free and peaceful. It was foolish, she knew. He was Korean, she was Japanese. He was her teacher, she was his student. He was 23 and serious about his life's work, while she was 19 and romantic about everything. But every Tuesday and Thursday, when he smiled at her progress or complimented her pronunciation, her heart would soar with the possibility that maybe, just maybe, he saw something special in her too. Now, as Seoul celebrated liberation and her parents packed for their return to Japan, all those dreams seemed to be crashing down around her. How could she leave just when everything was changing? How could she abandon the life she had built here, the friendships she had cultivated, the culture she had grown to love? How could she leave him? Standing in her family's courtyard, listening to her father's frantic phone calls and her mother's quiet weeping, Sumiko felt something crystallize inside her chest. Lee Jaehyuk had said she was different. He had seen something special in her desire to understand Korea. Maybe it was time to prove him right. Maybe it was time to choose the world where someone believed she belonged, rather than the one where she would always be a stranger. The decision, when it came, felt as natural as breathing. She was staying in Chosen. She was staying with the people who had shown her kindness, the culture that had captured her imagination. And, though she could never say this aloud, the man who had inadvertently captured her heart. Whatever came next, she would face it here, in the only home she had ever truly known.